yeah, how we view the world, each other, and ourselves. And the thing is too, when you're living with trauma in your nervous system, your ego identity gets wrapped up in that. And
Mhm.
again, our brain naturally is predisposed to liking boxes, right?
Yeah,
Like we evolved
love a
because,
box.
yeah, we evolved because our cave people ancestors were like, okay, red flower is poison, don't eat that. Giant scary cat, killing, don't pet that, right? Like very simple stuff. But again, when you don't allow for nuance, you don't allow for creativity. When you don't allow for creativity, you don't allow for connection.
Yeah,
And when we are living in that pain body in perpetuity, and when we're not processing the pain that is within ourselves, what we're doing is creating further isolation for ourselves.
yeah.
And in doing so, and again, this is speaking, I am a queer neurodivergent brown body. I have a Substack. Literally, my Substack says I'm the threat that fascists warned you about.
That's
That's my description. And like I the biggest thing is that if I'm living in the state of saying they're the enemy, they're the enemy, they're the enemy, they're the enemy, what I'm actually doing, and this is going to be really edgy, is perpetuating the same systems that are keeping us oppressed. Because on the one hand, don't get me wrong, post election, I was definitely giving myself space.
yeah,
And
yeah,
also I recognize that people are so woefully misguided and lost in their trauma. And I don't have hate for you. I just really want you to heal enough to understand that your greatest fears, your greatest insecurities are being manipulated. So
yeah,
we can see here that the emotional self regulation isn't just important for connection with each other, it's also important so that we don't put ourselves in bad situations. I often say when you live with unhealed trauma, everything registers as a red flag,
yeah.
except for the red flags.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
the
say more,
wild
say more.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
say
So, I mean, look at if anyone, I used to be in an abusive relationship before being with my current partner about 10 years ago, right? And we always tell ourselves when we hear these stories or watch TV shows or hear a friend, we're like, I would never put myself in that position. I would never. And then you're in that position and
yeah,
you don't realize you're in that position. And
yeah,
people, generally speaking, if you grew up in a emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature household, in a
mhm,
place where they not only provided for your physical needs, but also provided for the opportunity for you to self-actualize, you will be able to discern if people are right for you to be around or not. You'll be able to
yeah,
discern if they're trying to take advantage of you because that was modeled for you from a young age. If you don't
yeah.
have that, it's so easy to be like, I would never have done that. I would never have done that. And again, this is a Buddhist lens of compassion. It's not like, oh, but what about him? He had his daddy was a jerk. No, it's very like, girl, I need him to heal his shit so that he stops spilling that trauma on everybody else in the form of like absolute destruction. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So what does that regulation look like though?
Mm.
Because I can't, I'm struggling.
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
we
So
start to regulate when we're in the place of reacting,
yeah,
reacting, 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 and new shit is happening every single day?
every
Ah,
single day.
ah,
Yes. No, we can. I mean, screaming is a good part of it, right? That's
right.
somatic screaming, letting it out. The idea is you only want to scream like 2 or 3 times, otherwise it reactivates the sympathetic nervous system. So you only
Interesting. I
want to do
didn't
it
know
like,
that.
yeah, you only want like essentially like any of these somatic tools are contextual. So like some people are like, go for a run, work out. It's like, well, yes, to an extent, but it can also get you going again. So
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
threshold where it's no longer a relief.
yeah.
If I may, before I even get into that, can I just get into like how do we even recognize it? Because I
Yeah,
think
totally.
I
Please.
think that's essential to the journey is most people don't realize they're emotionally dysregulated.
Solid point. Solid point.
Yeah, most
Awareness
people don't.
first, always. Awareness
Yeah,
first.
awareness has to be the first point. And I did say it. I hope it's okay for this, and you can just cut it off if it's not. I know you're gonna turn this into a blog, but the topic I want to write a blog and give it to y'all to use is a term I coined after that big moment for myself, and I call
Yeah.
it reactivism.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
say more. I love it.
So reactivism, it's a state of activism and social change rooted in perpetual reactivity and driven almost entirely by dysfunction. Because think about it, nobody gets into activist work because things are easy and going well for them. No one's like, my life is great. I should go be an activist. They're like, it's usually from that point of pain that like there's some injustice directly impacting them. And then they're like, I need to go do something now. But then they don't leave that state. You look at any of these nonprofit activist organizations, especially ones that have been around for an extensive period of time, and you see common themes in them: organizational infighting, fear or incapacity to take meaningful breaks or rest, short-lived celebrations of wins, individual and collective burnout, creative block, not just like creativity, but like inability to engage with new ideas, especially with older heads in the orgs who are like, we've tried that. These young kids don't get how hard it is. Cynicism, psychological and emotional depression, apathy, chronic fatigue, comparison crisis is the one where it's just like, you know what would be really successful is all these orgs work together, but instead they're scrambling and fighting for resources, which is what the oppressive regimes want to happen. Inability to receive feedback because people are like, I am a good person. I'm doing all these good things. Look at all the stuff I've done. It's like, yeah, but you caused harm. Like both things can be true. And then perpetuating the same systems you're trying to break down and replace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah. I don't have a whole lot of words because it's hitting and it's sinking in,
Yeah.
and it's making me think really deep.
So
Yeah.
what do these systems do? They keep us traumatized, which keeps us dysregulated. When we're staying dysregulated, we don't have the capacity to creatively think of a better future. We don't have the capacity to communicate effectively. We don't even have the capacity to receive genuine inquiry for people who are trying to build bridges for understanding. That's why self-regulation is so imperative and so important during these times. Because until we are taking the time to be like, instead of it just being like, I don't have the space to do it, you figure it out, being like, hey, I'm actually really dealing with a lot and I don't think I can communicate effectively. Let me take a week, a month, if you're willing to be patient, to just deal with this to the best of my ability. And then we can try to find points of connection where I can
Yeah.
communicate and I can educate and we can educate each other and we can learn.
Really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still stuck this idea of like reactivism, because that's what it
Yes.
is. It's we're all reacting. We're all reacting. Which is so valid. And to that point, people that have different beliefs, people that maybe voted differently than I did, than you did, blah blah blah, they're also reacting. They're also reacting. They're
Yes.
and that's okay. I'm going to say this. I'm going to give a disclaimer. It's okay that they have emotions about it. It's okay that they're reacting.
Hmm.
What, but not dealing with it, us not talking about it, us just
Yes.
demonizing these people simply because they are having a reaction, and it is like it's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody.
Yeah, and again, I talked about this like a day after the election on TikTok and the amount of people who are so in their reactivity and so angry and not listening. I was like, I'm taking a long-term view, y'all. I get it. Like, I get that you're angry,
Yeah.
but we have to take the long-term perspective. There's actually a really great quote from His Holiness the Dalai Lama where he says, in dealing with those who are undergoing great suffering, if you feel burnout setting in, if you feel demoralized and you feel exhausted, it's best for the sake of everyone to withdraw and restore yourself.
Mm,
Because the point is to have a long-term perspective. And
yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
he was completely kicked out of his country and has been hiding out in India since he was I want to say a teenager, if not early 20s. And he's almost 90 now, if not already past 90. Like, this is someone who knows what he's talking about when he's talking about revolution and change and all these things. And again, if we're able to take a step back and just be like, what if we are all just a bunch of immature children given way too much power over each other? How do we handle that? How do we navigate that?
Yeah.
What if the stakes, what if even though the stakes are super, super, super high, and I'm not saying they're not super high, and I'm not saying that I haven't had many a nights of crying, and like
Yeah.
literally last night, my nervous system was like, this is going to be a cute little dysregulation night, and I just didn't sleep well, right? Like it's happening. I don't want anyone to be listening to this and be like, well, they must have all this privilege. Honey, girl, I got med school bills for my spouse. I'm broke. Don't put me in that box. But like,
Fair.
hey, what I'm saying is that if we really want to move forward, can we tend to and nurture our anger, our fear, and grief without it becoming the overwhelming soul narrative? When
Mhm.
I say to people, joy is revolutionary, gratitude's revolutionary, compassion's revolutionary, I'm not saying it as like joy's revolutionary, so go get fucked up at the club, Kesha. Like do your best. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying being able for me to go out into PA, which is a very red state, and still be unapologetically queer.
Yeah,
And I can't hide being brown. Like that's just gonna be a thing. So
absolutely. Okay. So we've got some signs, we've got some
yeah.
recognizing when we are coming from a place of reactivity.
Yes.
What the hell do we do
Oh my God.
next?
Well, first you got to call a girl up. I'll help you out. No, so
Love it. Love
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So I mean the signs is a big thing. And one of the things, one of the phrases I came up with is this: the brain likes to fix or fixate. So
Hmm.
when you feel uncomfortable, your brain will try to fix it. And if it doesn't know why, it'll create a reason. It'll fixate on a reason. Like, have you ever popped off on somebody and then it turned out a girl was just hungry? Like, was that me?
I'm so sorry. Have you, I know we have never met before, but it feels like you have known me and I feel personally attacked. Um,
Yeah, but
because
it's
I
so
do this
real.
regularly.
Yeah. And it's so real. It's like, damn, bitch, eat a Snickers. Like, it's okay. It's not that deep. Like, but if we're able to take it, if we're to take it in general, it's like, it is actually possible to sit with discomfort and not do. And there's this incredible brain scientist from Harvard. We were talking about TED Talks earlier. I don't remember if it was before the recording started or after.
Yeah. Yeah.
But her name is Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor. She has this really dope TED Talk she did where she talks about how she witnessed her own stroke,
Oh my
which
God.
is so cool. But she did this study where she found that emotions last 90 seconds. Okay, now divas, for those of you who are listening right now, and you're like, I have depression. How dare you say my emotions only last 90 seconds? True facts, honor that, believe in that. But what I'm saying is that when you have an acute emotional experience
Yeah.
and you give it 90 seconds to be present with it, to embody it without needing to immediately do something about it, that
Mhm.
gives it enough time to be transmuted. Now,
Yeah.
if you find that you like get in there and you're stuck in there, odds are that you have a chronic, abundant case of undealt with emotions over time. And
Yeah.
so that's step one is awareness. Step two is, can you just be with it?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Can you
Don't
just
do,
be
just
with
be.
it? Yeah, just
Just
be
be.
with it. And when I say be with it, I don't just mean in the thought space. One of the best things you can do for yourself is choose sensations over stories. And when
Hmm.
I say stories, even though I love the Inside Out movies and they're so good,
Yeah.
don't even name the emotions. So instead of being like, I feel angry, what does that feel like somatically? Oh, my face is hot. Good.
Mm,
Just be with the sensation of your face being hot. Instead of
okay.
saying, I
Starting with
feel
naming what's happening in your body. Start
as a
there.
sensation, because, and it's interesting too, the many clients I've worked with over half a decade, I tell them like, okay, start with the sensations. And then they'll be like, I just feel really scared that's, and then they go off on a whole tangent. I'm like,
Yeah.
honey,
And
that's
you're
a
like,
story. We don't need the
stop.
story.
Yep.
Just sensation. And then it'll be like, oh, I feel anxious. Nope, that's a story. Sensation. And I'll be like, oh, my stomach feels tight. Great. Just be with that. See
Yeah.
now, because that's the thing too, right? Like anxiety and excitement feel the same in the body.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mind is the one that decides what direction you want to go in. In
Yeah.
Buddhism, we call it the monkey mind. Like this
Mm,
little monkey is just jumping all over the place, and you want to give that
yeah.
monkey a banana. So yeah, again, the first step, just be aware of like, oh yeah, I've been an emotionally dysregulated girly. I need to get it together.
Fair. Fair.
Number two, be with it. And again, the things I'm saying, they sound really simple, and that's why they're difficult. We love
Yeah.
overcomplicating things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then number three, you then start decide what somatic practice you want to engage with that you feel like you most need right now.
Okay.
And so it could be breath work. Beautiful thing about breath work is normally when people are feeling the overwhelming secondary trauma or receiving this the first level trauma of like being a person of color or being a historically marginalized person in this culture that we're in right now, um, it can be really easy to get caught up in thought space. And
Mm,
again, I'm being very, when I say present moment, I'm being very literal, right?